often have we heard someone say, "What do you want to hear first? The good news or the bad news?" Well, today is a good news day. The good news that life will always prevail over death and darkness. Just as in the gospel, Jesus called Mary of Magdala by name and told her to announce this good news to the disciples. Jesus calls each of us by name today and tells us that we too are to announce the good news of life to the people in our lives. Our Easter homily will focus on ways we proclaim Jesus's good news of healing, compassion, joy, and justice through our voice, our actions, and our presence. Let's begin with an example that has brought life and hope to many people. The story, written in the Philadelphia Inquirer and broadcast on Fox News, began in January and centers around the family of Marge Richards, a beloved Mary Magdalene community member. Her two daughters and niece were lovingly nicknamed the Vaccine Angels because of their extraordinary efforts in securing COVID-19 appointments for so many struggling to get one. Although they started with their parents and other family members, their outreach soon spread to the wider community, and their team of angels also expanded. Marge's daughter, Melinda McCann, said their success largely depended on vigilance and persistence. These qualities, as well as their technical expertise, brought the good news of appointments and the resulting protection of the vaccine to so many people. In McCann's words, "It's been very rewarding and incredible to have been able to help people who have been living in fear for a year now." Recipient Virginia Schenk said, "It's nice how humanity has really stepped up to help people they don't even know." Stan and I were lucky recipients of the vaccine because of the care and perseverance of these angels. After trying for many hours to get an appointment, I turned to them for help and would have been happy if they had just sent me a good link to use. But instead, they secured appointments. We were ecstatic. And in that moment, I felt the flutter of their angel wings and saw their halos spinning. I thank each of them, Melinda, Mary, Alicia, and Marge, for hearing the Spirit of God call their name, for responding to the call, as Mary Magdalene did, and for bringing the good news of Easter hope to the community. On a different note, in our neighborhood, we have many animal friends who bring the good news of joy to all of us who live there. And I'd like to mention one in particular. Her name is Emma, a very cute, white-colored pit bull who loves people and is such a happy dog. Whenever we see her, we'll say, "Hi, Emma," and she excitedly runs over to see us, wagging her tail at 100 miles per hour. You would get dizzy if you watched her tail move back and forth. Actually, her whole stocky, muscular body wiggles with absolute delight. Her love gushes forth, and petting her brings us so much joy. Emma has certainly listened to God's call to love. And through her presence, she announces the good news of Easter, that joy that she announces with every wag of her tail. Another good news announcement occurred recently while out on a walk. I ran into an old elementary school chum who was on her way to see her 94-year-old mother. We immediately began talking about our families. She shared that her mom, whose name is Grace, is generally in good health, but needs a heart valve replacement. Her mom was given two choices: to not have the surgery and go into hospice care in 6 months, or to have the surgery with all its risks and be good to go if the operation is successful. Her mom said the first option didn't sound so good, so she has decided to go for it, take the risk, and have the surgery. In her words, "There are too many weddings in the next year, and I want to be there for them." You gotta love Grace's spunky spirit. Facing death, she is choosing life. Casting caution to the wind, Grace is embracing the possibility of extending her life for several years. Through her words, actions, and presence, Grace is announcing the good news of trust that healing and life will prevail. Grace is living Easter. Finally, I want to talk about how we, as the Mary Magdalene community, announce the good news to the world. In my 13-year experience as a community member, I see authenticity at the core of our good news announcements. I have witnessed your authentic proclamation of compassion, justice, and opportunity through your work in education, business, healthcare, law, politics, caregiving, and counseling, and through service opportunities for those needing food and other necessities, employment, or an outdoor adventure. Here in our community, I have seen your loving outreach to those among us who may not be feeling so Easter-like because they are grieving or enduring an illness. And I have personally experienced your heartfelt compassion when our family members were ill or experiencing loss. The careful sharing of your thoughts last week at our community meeting, and your deeply spiritual and genuine sharings after the homily are indeed good news as well. Whether announcing the good news in the wider community, in our Mary Magdalene community, or in the smaller communities of our families, your authenticity and conviction shine forth. I thank each of you for hearing the Spirit of God call your name, as Mary Magdalene heard Jesus call her name, and for announcing the good news of Easter through your voice, actions, and presence. Every one of us is called to give and receive the good news of Easter, not just today, but every day of the year. Who or what has recently graced you with an Easter message? Be saturated in good news as it springs forth from nature, our animal friends, angels that unexpectedly come into our lives, and people who are interwoven into our life story. This is a special day for us to enjoy and share the message of life. Announce and celebrate the good news. Happy Easter.